The universe we live in is made of universal particles. They are the smallest thing that humans have found so far. Smaller than the atom, electron, quark. Smaller than anything we know. This recent discovery made one of the most significant advances in modern physics. Scientists found out about universal particles, and they realized they were the matter of fact. That's why invertebrates want this. There are 6 universal particles, and when you perfectly combine them, you can manipulate matter. In a common word, you can have superpowers in real life. Welcome to Central Command. Universal particles are in the environment, in the world we live in. The developed technology allows anyone who has the app to explore the world and find them, along with power resins and other stuff that will be revealed later on. Now, your phone has enough technology to extract universal particles from the world and manipulate them. You can also use it to throw some sort of superpowers, but it's extremely limited. Its only real application is for exploration. Your phone simply can't cast them at full power. That's why we developed the e-bombs. These electronic weapons allow the wearer to cast superpowers at full scale. Naturally, our eyes cannot see the quantum world you are manipulating when you cast these powers. Therefore, we need some sort of glasses. The screens that amplifies the tiny microscopic world for us to see it. That's why in combat the headset is required. It will let you see what's happening. That means that only when fighting in real life the opponent headsets are required. All the other experience, like exploring, fighting new superpowers, leveling them up and more, requires only your phone. We need to cover tons of information before we go into battle, and I will dive to these topics in the following weeks. Right now I want to focus on the combat simulator, because soon we will release it for you to test. Android and iOS, Spanish and English. While the Bones app has a multiplayer online combat simulator that replicates the fighting mechanics you will face in real life. It only requires your phone and was built for you to train, test new strategies, and develop casting skills. You don't want to be in the situation of fighting in real life and forgetting how to cast your powers. Well, instead of explaining how the simulation works, let me show you. We asked 6 talented recruits to have a real demonstration in the combat simulator. Remember, this is a pre-alpha demo tournament, and it will be played to the best of 5. Before we go and see it, let me introduce you to General Oso. He's the leader behind the experience in the Bone universe, the general in charge of designing everything.
For a long time now, recruits have been interacting with different bots, starting with an anonymous interview that controls everything in the boat. And also they have been in socials like Discord, Reddit, and more, interacting with these bots. We know that there's some sort of a personal bot out there that we're trying to put within the application to help this recruit. What we know is that it's called Abby. But let's see what does General Oso have to say about this personal bot, how it works, why it's called this way, and why do we need it in the Bone. So tell me, General Oso, why do we need Abby, and what is exactly Abby?
Yeah, so Abby is basically your companion. It's going to be your virtual companion. It's an artificial intelligence that branches out from Anonyma, and it's going to be with you throughout your entire adventure. It stands for Artificial Visual Intelligence because it's going to be there visually in your entire journey within the app and when you are fighting. So every single step of your adventure, Abby is going to be learning about what you are doing, and it's going to be there for you. So, yeah.
And what's the benefit for the recruit to have a personal bot?
Well, I think it's gonna ease the burden for you to remember every single aspect of the game. So it's gonna help you, it's gonna guide you. So it's gonna make things easier for you in a way.
Okay, so right now I know at first hand that researchers are learning a lot of new stuff about powers and biomes and things we will reveal later on.
Yes.
But I know right now that there's tons of information that each recruit with the app needs to learn to continue evolving and leveling up. Abby is gonna help them.
Abby is gonna be the guide, or yeah, your bot that is going to help you to hint you the next step of what you need to do. So every time you go out there and explore, you're gonna be learning more and more and more about universal particles and their uses. All this information that's helping the research, Abby is going to gather it and reward you by giving you hints and by helping you build the next thing. So Abby is gonna basically have all the information you need to create power archives, or to put it more in a simple words, to go from universal particles to the creation of power archives you can use in combat.
Okay, so a lot of recruits were asking the question because they knew, or they used to know, that Nereas were this kind of personal bot. But right now we have Abby. So explain us, what's a Nerea and what is the relationship that it has with Abby?
Abby is your own personal bot that you are going to use. Nereas are only the physical representation or the visual representation of Abby. So it's a skin for Abby. You can see it in that way. It's where Abby is going to live. So it's gonna be fully customizable. You can choose whichever skin you want. And these skins are called Nereas. These cute characters in the game, or bots, are called Nereas. And Abby is gonna live inside the Nerea in certain sections of the app. So that's the relationship between Abby and Nereas. So Nereas are the skins for Abby, but Abby is the AI that's living inside the Nereas.
So if I understand correctly, the experience, the gaming design you are making is we have Abby, that is our personal bot, completely customizable in a sense of changing the name and stuff like that. But naturally, an artificial intelligence does not have like a physical form. So the idea is this Nereas is some sort of a skin for Abby, so Abby can go into there and then have a visual representation. Is that's correct?
Yeah, that's correct. At the end of the day, an artificial intelligence is nothing but a bunch of ones and zeros that lives inside of a computer.
Now, this Nereas, are there different, like in skill points? Are there stronger one than another? Have different sets of skills? Or there are like just skins so the user can pick anyone he wants to and collect them? How does this work?
They are 100% visual, so they are entirely cosmetic. They will not affect game mechanics. So they are only there to make you look better when you are inside the app in the sections that the Nerea is going to represent you. They will not have different skill sets or skill points. All Nereas are the same. At the end of the day, they are skins for Abby. So they won't affect game mechanics in any form or way.
Before we got into this interview, we were talking about the combat simulator. Mm-hmm. And, well, it's an extensive topic and we will dive in. But if users are using Abby to understand this quantum microscopic world, and they are using this Nereas to have a visual representation, that it's a skin only, then where can you use these Nereas? And after that, let's dive into what is the combat simulator and why did you build this combat simulator?
Yes, so Nereas are going to be found in several sections of the game, and since Abby is living inside, and every time you need to train or enhance your skills, whether it is in the mobile app or using the complete caster gear, you're going to find an area that you're going to be able to train with. Remember, Abby is living inside of them. So that's like the different places where you're gonna find Nereas. And the second one is in the...
Real quick, because I didn't get that entirely. So the idea is that if you own an iPhone and a headset, you will be able to train versus this Nereas in real life, like in augmented reality?
Yes, that's correct.
And what happens? What happens if you are, for example, in somewhere in Latin America and I'm somewhere in Europe and I want to fight you with the iPhone and the headset? How does that is going to work?
Nereas are also going to be your combat representative or your combat companion, if you can see them in that way. So you are going to be able to control Nereas either in a real life or AR environment using the caster gear. That's going to enable you to fight other players no matter where they are in the world. So you're going to see their Nerea, you're going to fight their Nerea, and they're going to fight your Nerea. But they're really going to be fighting you it's a way for us to solve the issue of what happens if you don't have someone near you to fight with. If you have the caster gear, you're going to be able to fight with anyone in the world using the system.
Cool. So as a summary, Nerea is this virtual companion that it's only a skin, and you will use it in different places, but it's mainly to represent you when you are not in the real world. This could be to train with, or this could be to fight versus other players online with the opponent headset. But the main topic of this interview and this episode is about the combat simulator.
Yes.
I know that you are trying to train the recruits in the casting techniques, the things that they're going to face in real life before they get there. I believe you developed this combat simulator so they can be prepared of. So explain me, what is the combat simulator? Why did you build it, and how it works?
We wanted to have a lower entry level experience where you can fight other persons using the combat mechanics in the Bone universe, using power archives and using all the different aspects of our universe. So that's why we created the combat simulator, which is a section of the app that you can access using only your phone. So you don't need the caster gear, that it's more easily available for everyone to use. And also it's a more relaxed thing or experience. It's not the dynamic that when you are with the entire caster gear, but it's still pretty fun because you're going to be able to get used to and train the different combat mechanics and the strategies, such as learning the casting pattern of the different power archives, being able to use the different effects to learn about them. So imagine we're creating an experience where I'm gonna put football or soccer, depending where you are in the world, as an example, where playing a video game about this sport would actually make you better in the actual sport. So that's what we are trying to do with the combat simulator.
Do you design these mechanics so it replicates like exactly the same experience but in a virtual online environment and also multiplayer? Do you think there are some different mechanics in the combat simulator that recruits will not live in real life? Or did you try to make like a replica of the real life combat simulators for them to get trained before real life battles?
So the combat simulator is intended to be as precise of a replica as it can be to combating in real life. Of course, you are gonna lack the moving part in real life, like the physical moving part, but the Nerea is gonna be the one moving for you inside this environment. But every other single combat mechanic is gonna be there. You're gonna need to aim, you're gonna need accuracy, you're gonna need to strategize with your teammates, you're gonna need to perform the casting pattern, the moving casting pattern. The difference is, instead of doing it with the icon, you're gonna be doing it on screen, but that's gonna help you memorize what the casting pattern of the different power archives are, all aspects of power archives, the damage they do, the healing they do, their effects they can put on your allies or your enemies is going to be the same. So if you are very, very good in the combat simulator, at worst, you're going to be the greatest strategist there is in the field when fighting in real life. So
I see. As a summary, Abby is your personal bot that was named that way because he's the artificial visual intelligence, and scientists like to call her, he is a bot, Abby. Yes. Abby needs a visual representation, somewhere to live when she or he is out of your phone. These things are called Nereas and are skins only that you can use several places when you fight with someone with your econ across the world online, but mainly in the combat, also in the combat simulator, where you're gonna face other players in this online multiplayer arena, where you are trying to replicate exactly the same mechanics recruits will face in real life, so they can train, strategize, try new loadouts with new superpowers and stuff like that. So the moment they go out, they can remember the spanning, this caster patterns.
Yeah, they're gonna be familiarized with the entire combat mechanics.
We can go straight to the battle, and if you want, you can help me narrate and explain what's happening so everyone understands this 5-minute battle. And remember, if we get into 2,000 viewers, we will release the full level tournament for you to see who won in these two teams.
Yeah, and that would be great. I think that I can go over more details while casting an actual fight that took place between some of our alpha recruits.
Pretty cool. Okay, just for everyone to remember this, this narration will have two languages at the same time, English and Spanish, instead of putting captions there. So, if your first language is English, just stay here. If not, skip the following minutes until you get to the Spanish narration section. So, journalists are ready to battle? Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Let's see how they did.
So, ready for battle. We are about to start this. We're waiting for the players to join. For you to remember, we're having two teams, the red team and the cyan team, and they are gonna play for 5 minutes. You score a point when you kill someone of the opposite team, so you gotta be ready for a lot of action. We have also, as you know, here, so
Yes.
he can explain the strategies, all the loadouts, what's happening. I'm gonna narrate the game, and we're just waiting for the last one. Hope you enjoy this. Remember, this is one game of 5, was played to the best of 5. So we're gonna know who won this one and who scored 1 point. But later on, we can see in the following week who was the winner of this tournament.
Yes. So before we begin, so what you're going to see is gonna be the Nereas fighting each other, but remember the players are the one controlling them using the exact game mechanics in real life combat.
And we start with 5 minutes in the clock. No one has to score a point. Green one that has some kind of a tank loadout. We can see there with Persian Shield, Lemon Acceleration, Sapphire Ring, and he's gonna have a build to be the front line of their team, of the Cyan team. What do you see there? Also tell me about their loadout.
Yeah, we were just seeing Verde with a pretty strong tank loadout, and now we are seeing Magenta. He's
He's
using
making the 2 versus 1. He gonna get the kill. 2 versus 1. Yeah, good coordination between the red team there. They made the 2 versus 1. Magenta was already about to be dead. But wait a second. He can get the second point. He would. Amazing. He got an amazing accuracy kill. He got the point to 0 red with 2 points. Definitely, Cyan team needs to have a better communication. They are alone around the arena, losing. We have the second point here. So tell me also about
even if we just saw Magenta lose his life there, we saw he got the two kills using an interesting strategy using Short Circuit, which is a power archive that makes the casting pattern of your opponent. You need to do it in reverse.
Sorry, there was.
Yeah, no problem. I was telling you, the Short Circuit was very interesting because it reverses the order in which you need to make the casting patterns, and its opponents couldn't do anything about it. They didn't know how to counter, and he ended up killing 2 of them. But let's get back to the action.
Amarillo is just there moving around. Rojo also. Verde is the one that he's getting bigger. He's a great tank there. No one is making damage. Rojo, the player, have died 2 times. He needs to have better moving skills because he's dying a lot. So then we can see the stats. Also, tell me about those stats.
Yeah, we can see Amarillo already has a 400 attack power. The players began with 200 in each stat, so what he's doing is an endgame or a stack strat using Tomato Fury, which every time you hit an opponent is gonna increase your attack power, and he's combining that with Lime Acceleration, which decreases the cooldown of your power archive. So combining these two.
62 of life, so sorry, he just hit them. They can make 2 versus 1. And he can get the kill, 2 versus 1, right? He run. We have here a replay, quick replay, where Azul hit him, Magenta, Amarillo, sorry, and he's dead. They got the point.
Cyan almost got eliminated, but he managed to cure himself using one of the healing. Oh well, he's gone. And we can see Amarillo actually almost one-hit him because he already has a very big attack power, using the combination of Tomato Fury and with Red Destruction, the power archive that deals the most amount of damage in the game. You can, combining these two without dying, one-shot your opponents at a certain point in the battle if you do this correctly.
And we can see Verde here growing big. He has a lot of shields, a lot of resistance right now. He's almost in, or it was something like 500. CM team is getting a little bit back. So the red team as a whole, they're playing a lot like, I go there, I made a lot of damage, and then I back out and kill myself. In Cyan, it looks like they are not getting an advantage of this. They have a great tank out there that it's Verde, but it seems like they cannot coordinate themselves. Let's see who wins here. So he got a hit. Azul, the red team, is there making 3 versus 2. It looks like Verde is already trying to get all the hits, and good sniping skills there. We had it 5-5, 1 minute and 45 seconds in the clock. Really tight match. We see there Magenta, who is a DPS damage per second, and he's dead. So it's a problem where when they die. Explain us how it works when you raise up your stats and then you are dead. What happens?
Yeah, we have one kind of effect called stack effect that are gonna raise the player combat skills or combat stats. You know, the damage, resistance, cooldown, but every time you die, this buff you already got is gonna decrease. So it's important to stay alive, and we can see Verde is doing a very good job at staying alive. His resistance is already at almost 800, and combining it with a shield, with Persian shield, which is decreasing even more the damage he receives. So he's gonna be in a while almost immortal, and we're gonna see how this plays out and at the end of the match, how these different strategies work. But we see it's a very intense and a very close clash of strategies.
2 versus 1 again, and he's gonna be dead. Rojo is just dead all the time. CR team need to talk with him because he's just dead. And we see how Verde, the tank, is killing their Magenta. They got the point. It's 9-8, 30 seconds on the clock. Who's gonna win this? Is really tight. Azul is dead, 2 deaths, time 9, 27 seconds.
Yeah, 1 by each team. Go.
Verde is keeping going. He is resistant. He can resist everything. He got the point. 10, 19, 18 seconds. 1 skill point. If not, it's gonna be a drop. 15 seconds. Verde can resist everything. 3 reds versus Verde. And he got there. Oh my god, Chan is about to death. Magenta also receives a sniping skill. Chan is automatic. And you have 3 seconds. They got the point. Verde stand out there. He got all the resistance he needed. That was amazing. CN team was all day like losing. Red Rojo, the player, was dead all the time. He didn't do his job about making damage per second. But we saw how Verde, the player, was with this tank loadout, and at the end he got.
Yeah, you could see how CN was trailing the entire match in the scoreboard, but their strategy, although risky, they almost lost at the end, or they were trailing by 2 points, but Verde just became too strong. We saw him combining the shield with Sapphire Ring, both making him receive less damage, and at the end he could go all in. He could push like YOLOing into the fights and receiving almost no damage, and that, well, he was able to get the last elimination that gave his team the win. So I don't know, we have maybe an MVP for this match, but we're gonna see how the rest of the tournament goes.
Totally, the MVP needs to go to Verde. He carried the team the whole time. Rojo was dead all the time, no damage per second. The other wasn't in the fights really, so we got an MVP. We don't know who's the actual winner of the demo tournament because this is the first match. You know, we are playing the best of 5, but if we get into the 2,000 viewers, we can release the rest and narrate it just like this. So I hope you enjoy it. Now you understand the relevance of the combat simulator and why this will make you understand the strategy, remember your casting techniques, understand the skills you need and how everything works. Hope you had a great time. See you next week.
Next video, full events and real life content. See you next week, recruits.
Y empezamos con la primera partida del torneo. Les recuerdo que vamos a tener a 2 equipos, el equipo rojo y el equipo cian. Se van a jugar durante 5 minutos y cada uno de los equipos puede anotar un punto cuando hace una muerte, cuando mata a la Nerea del otro personaje. Vamos a estar viendo cuáles son las estrategias. Les recuerdo que cada uno de los jugadores lleva 4 archivos de poder, entonces probablemente estemos viendo una combinación de alguien especializado en tanque, alguien especializado en daño, y veamos si alguno de los jugadores trae la sorpresa de ponerse algún loadout de support o de healer. Normalmente son los más comunes, pero bueno, para eso tenemos acá a Oso, para que nos vaya explicando a detalle qué es lo que está sucediendo en pantalla, qué es lo que están haciendo los jugadores, y pues vámonos directo. Es un 3 contra 3.
Parece que estamos por empezar.
Equipo Cian contra equipo rojo. Vamos a estar viendo de las diferentes cámaras. Empezamos rápidamente con una pantalla de magenta en donde nos enseña que lleva un deck de daño, aceleración Lima, que le reduce el tiempo de entrenamiento. Vamos con verde, el primer equipo que se tira. Rápidamente verde, que podemos ver que lleva un deck de tanque en donde se va a estar subiendo muchísimo la resistencia. Él va a ser el que esté enfrente de todos, soportando todo el daño. Oso, dime, ¿qué opinas de estos decks?
Sí, bueno, pues vemos a Magenta como haciendo uso en este momento de su deck, intentando bajar su cooldown con aceleración Lima.
Oye, perdóname, le van a hacer el 2-1, le van a hacer el 2-1 a la primer punto para el equipo rojo, que mataron a rojo. Y sígueme diciendo, uy, parece que le pueden hacer el segundo. Si le metes sniper, se va a llevar un segundo punto. Y le queda un poquito de vida, pero sigue con delirio. Vámonos, 2 puntos directos de Magenta contra rojo.
Listo,
4 minutos de la partida.
Estamos viendo cómo Magenta hace un excelente uso de cortocircuito al invertir los ejes del rival y hacer que, bueno, aquí lamentablemente muere, pero al hacer eso logra confundir. Ya, recordemos que este ataque hace que el patrón de movimiento lo tengas que hacer de manera invertida, y parece que no estaban listos los rivales para contrarrestar eso, y se vino el 2-0 al principio, porque ya después muere y
le pegaron ahí. Azul se llevó el tercer punto con la victoria. Vemos rápidamente cómo el equipo Cian no se está poniendo de acuerdo, necesitan comunicarse mucho mejor. Los rojos, el equipo rojo está 3-1, no le meten. Híjole, buen corte de pantalla de ese lado del director de cámaras, y lleva ahí pues, Furia Tomate. Sígueme tú, Oso, explicando qué es el deck que tiene amarillo y qué está sucediendo.
Sí, vemos aquí amarillo con un deck de ataque de los más usados en el torneo alfa. Tenemos la combinación de destrucción roja con Furia Tomate. Creemos que Furia Tomate sube tu nivel de ataque justamente cada vez que tú aciertas a un rival. De hecho, podemos ver las estadísticas del jugador. El nivel de ataque base es de 200 y vemos que ya lo tiene en 409. Es decir, ya duplicó su nivel de ataque, así que en combinación con destrucción roja, llegado a un punto va a poder eliminar rivales de un solo disparo, ¿no? Esa es una estrategia que vimos que se usó mucho. Vemos aquí como la vida de Azul cae casi por completo al recibir un solo impacto. Azul tiene una estrategia muy similar, tiene de hecho el mismo deck combinado con...
Pero eso le pegaron, le quedan 72 de vida, pero te lo regresa perfecto. Le vienen a hacer el 2-1 a Magenta, se tiene que escapar con Furia Tomate, se recupera apenas. Vemos aquí la repetición de cómo Azul llega, lo intenta eliminar, pero apenas, y lo mataron, se llevaron la victoria. 5-3, 2 minutos con 20 segundos. Tienen que ponerse de acuerdo el equipo Cian, porque no están jugando con la comunicación que deberían, y con el deck que traen, te traerá por ahí un tanque de verde.
Sí, y algo interesante que vimos es cómo quedan un par de jugadores con muy poquita vida y logran recuperarla rápidamente usando algunos de los archivos de curación. Vemos aquí que verde lleva lluvia cobalto, que es el archivo de curación más eficiente del juego. Y vimos otros jugadores con brisa verde, que además te purifica. Eso quiere decir que elimina cualquier efecto secundario negativo.
¡Uy, qué sniper! Le metieron allá a rojo. Tenemos que recordar que verde va de tanque, pero rojo no deja de morirse. Buen sniperazo. Magenta le queda la mitad de la vida. Siguen derecho. Se tienen que agrupar. Los rojos se tienen que agrupar. Magenta hace un buen movimiento ahí para esquivar. Dale tiempo a recuperarse. Azul se mete en medio. El sniperazo falta. Quedan 2 minutos de partida. 5-4. Apretadísima la pelea. Verde está empezando a resistir lo que quiera. Creo que ahí le está haciendo funcional ese equipo, ese tanque de verde. No sé qué opinas tú, pero está resistiendo muchísimo.
Sí, es interesante la configuración de equipo por la que ambos se fueron. Vemos una configuración mucho más agresiva por parte del equipo Cian, con dos jugadores con un loadout mucho más agresivo. Y hablando justamente de Verde, el jugador Verde, vemos ahí que vuelve a subir su resistencia. Cada vez que dispara Anillo Zafiro, aumenta su resistencia. Y vamos a ver cómo esto resulta al final de la partida, ¿no? Es que termina siendo mejor, si aumentar el nivel de ataque o aumentar la resistencia con la configuración de equipo que tienen ahorita.
Y vemos a ver cómo se mete ahí en medio de todo, no le importa nada, resiste todo, se lleva magenta y no le pueden bajar. Este Verde ya es una gorda, no hay forma de moverlo. Fíjate cómo su resistencia solo sube, le pueden hacer el 2-1, lo resiste perfectamente, está a punto de morirse. Vemos a Azul cómo le pega a Rojo, ese Rojo aunque trae daño no se deja de morir. Está haciendo un problema para el equipo Sion y casi se lo llevan de nuevo, le vuelven a hacer el 2-1, el equipo Sion sigue sin comunicarse, 40 segundos de partida. 800 sniperazo, Rojo no se deja de morir. Y Verde que aguanta todo, se va contra Magenta, que es de daño. Magenta no le puede hacer nada. Y fíjate cómo Verde hace poco daño, pero es constante. Es una bestia ese Verde, lo que está aguantando. Buen 2 contra 1, amarillo contra Verde. Y le pegan a los dos, están muriendo.
Cómo se mantiene muy reñida la partida, un 10-9. Verde al inicio de la partida mucho más pasivo, pero ya que vemos que su resistencia está en 950, es una locura.
Se llevaron hacia 15 segundos y el 10 se nos va a acabar. Esto puede terminar en un empate. Verde resiste lo que quiera y se mete a la mitad de todos. Si se lleva a ese punto de 100, se acabó la partida. Verde se mete, se quiere llevar contra todos. Magenta no le queda nada. ¡Vámonos 2 segundos! Victoria para el equipo Cian, cerradísima. Estuvieron, me emocionó demasiado, estuvieron todo el tiempo perdiendo ese equipo Cian. Creo que Rojo no se dejó de morir, no hacía el daño que tenía que hacer, pero Verde se llevó la partida construyendo hasta este tanque, haciendo el último punto de victoria. Explícame eso, ¿cuál fue su estrategia? ¿Qué es lo que
vemos cómo a pesar de que el equipo contrario estaba aumentando mucho nivel de ataque, seguían muriendo. Entonces es algo importante que cuando tú pierdes o te elimina el otro equipo, parte de los stacks que llevas acumulados en la partida se reducen. Verde mantuvo un juego muy pasivo, jugando al endgame, donde logró multiplicar hasta aumentar hasta 950 su resistencia. Eso hizo que al final fuera un completo tanque indestructible que pues básicamente iba sin miedo a nada y logró sacar, faltando 3 segundos, la última eliminación para darle la victoria a su equipo.
Sí, creo que estuvo interesante como al principio Rojo estaba dominando todo el tiempo al equipo Rojo como tal, al equipo Cian, pero el equipo Cian, reitero, con Verde, que creo que se debería llevar el MVP de esta partida. Verde crece, de su lado el jugador Rojo que está en el equipo Cian no se deja de morir, no hace el daño que tiene que hacer, pero Verde va escalando y aunque hace poco daño lo hace constante y resiste todo, se mete entre todos ahí al final y se lleva esa victoria. Pues bueno, para terminar, les recuerdo que si llegamos a 2000 vistas, liberamos las 5 partidas. No sabemos quién es el ganador de este torneo, si el equipo Cian o el equipo Rojo. Sabemos que el equipo Cian ya lleva un punto, se juega el mejor de 3, pero con esto nos damos una muy buena idea de cómo la estrategia y el simulador de combate van a hacer que estos casters pues lleguen al siguiente nivel y estén entrenando.
Sí, pues yo creo que no queda mucho por decir, es que esto les dé un pequeño vistazo, ¿no?, de las mecánicas de combate y cómo practicar en el simulador de combate va a ser, creo que, algo vital para que todos nuestros reclutas puedan ser casters efectivos a la hora de pelear con su equipo de caster en la vida real.
Next video, full events in real life combat. See you next week, recruits.